my artistic practice, in my dance, and also it's my approach to filming, is this improvised approach and feeling the moment and doing the thing which is right in the moment. It basically applies to my life as well, you know, and this is the same when I come across some artists or some people and I feel this is the right thing to do now, I do it. I think any kind of interactivity always excites people, and I'm also one of them. If you can do something and the projection will follow you, that creates such an excitement, like as if you were a child, right? This ability of the interactive technologies is called agency. Agency, that means that I can change something with my movement or with my sound. There is some change in the environment, which I do. I like to create something which is very fragile, but is very alive. Using of these real-time technologies indeed gives you this feeling of creating something that is very much in this moment. It's now. I'm a molecular biologist, and I was offered a PhD in Germany. And of course I took this opportunity. The leading motivation there was that I wanted to see the world. But another turning point, which was very important for me, was I was doing neurosciences, and I was doing this immunofluorescent microscopy. This is a microscopy where you dye tissues with some fluorescent dyes. And then you see, like in a dark background, you see these beautiful neon colored shapes. And that was a big insight for me and a big kind of aha moment when I realized that I'm just in love with the visual picture of it, but I really don't care about what the scientific meaning of it is. And this is how I realized that maybe science is not really my way. And of course I kept doing dance, but in the later years the visual component there, like the visual art, the media art, came into it. The theater director I'm working with, Max Schumacher, always says that I'm a very unique dance artist because I have a scientific approach to dance and to choreography. I do research, I think conceptually, and of course all these beautiful organic forms, I really wanted to create visually, more or less, to recreate what I saw under the microscope. My first idea was to create something for the events, for like parties, for the festivals, because you know I ended up in Berlin, and I was so excited about the party culture, about how much people are sharing with each other, how much love they're giving, and that was such a contrast to the club culture back in Russia, you know, that I was really busy with this idea, what can I give back? The idea was working with these non-human and organic forms and creating this kind of visual distortions. So we basically created costumes with lighting stripes which were not imitating the human shape, but they were kind of reforming the human shape. And then I created a dance technique which was a completely strange. It was kind of alien, but organic, but non-human. And actually this is very much in connection with my scientific work. Well, I mean, I wouldn't say it's one of my main projects, but that was basically my first big project as a choreographer. And we did it with the Theater. This is a multimedia theater company from Berlin, and the director Max Schumacher. And he's one of the guys who very much likes to go to new places and learn about it. And as he heard that I'm from such a unique place, from this scientific hub in the forest of Siberia, which was actually the plan B in the Cold War, in case the Moscow is destroyed, he got completely fascinated. And he said, yeah, let's do it, let's go for research. And we talked to Goethe Institute and we went for research. And Max was completely excited because indeed it's a unique place. You have just scientists all in the forest everywhere, and this very much Soviet atmosphere, with these old houses. So this is what we're talking about, and in this piece we created an artificial intelligence who is creating scientific towns, and he's invited dancers to give him some input. The story is really weird, the story is really sci-fi, but it gave me the chance to learn a lot about my home place and to look at it with a kind of new view, you know, and to see also how historically it developed and why it is now what it is now. It was, I think, for me personally, a milestone, yeah. One of the very important projects for me was the project that I have created in Russia, in Karelia. This is the northern region, and this is about the tragedy of Sandarmoch. That was basically a huge place where a lot of unknown people were buried. Around 10,000 people were killed, and as they found it out only in the 90s, these were people from the Solovetsky Gulag. You know, gulags, those kind of concentration camps. The Soviet version. Those people were mostly Ukrainian artists, politicians, priests, you know, poets, writers, theater directors, also from Russia. When I was doing this after invitation of my friend and choreographer Alexander Kozin, I asked him, what can we do a piece about? And he said, yeah, we have this story here. And I said, let's do about this. And my friend Alexander said, no, I don't want to also go in jail. You know, Russia is not a very safe place anymore. And I said, but we have to do it. We have to do it. We have to talk about it. This is our artistic mission. You know, we cannot talk about butterflies. These things are happening now, and this is our mission, to make art about it and to tell people about it in artistic form. But to keep ourselves safe, we said, let's kind of wrap it in a poetical layer, and we found a poem of Walt Whitney, an American author, which is called Cabin Ship at Sea, and this is about the pioneers who are discovering the oceans, but their destiny, it's always a tragedy. They always get lost, they died, but they bring knowledge to people. The whole story, we kind of wrapped in the story of this seaman, of these pioneers which are at sea, and which each of them is dying at the end. At the end, it has been a very beautiful story, a very beautiful poetical story, and if we did not have this fear and this limitation of being sentenced for saying something out loud directly, and if we were not forced to kind of wrap it, to hide it, this piece won't be so beautiful and so poetic and so touching. Sometimes some technology come across your way and you think, I would love to do something with this. I would love to do something with augmented reality, for example. Let's think how can we use it, or what kind of project could it be. But sometimes I have this vision or topics. Usually those come to me when I'm relaxed or when I'm walking in a park. You know, I think the idea for my first project, it struck me like a lightning when I was just walking in the park at night. And I just saw these creatures with their costumes and of this kind of dance technique. And yeah, so it's different. Yeah, it could be both ways, actually. The original impulse to start a project could come either from body or from technology. You cannot tell what is first. My Bible, and like what I really try to, teach people is there should be nothing in the priority. They should come together in the interaction. That's why I always tell people, if you have multimedia projects, develop them, having your visual artists in your studio, having your dancers or actors in your studio, working all together, developing all together. Because it will not come to a fusion, it will not come to a kind of holistic dramaturgical concept. My personal approach is really having both of them in interaction from the beginning to the end. It happened unexpectedly because my brother moved here from Ukraine. I also came there to visit him and started doing projects. I also started looking around and I met people, very nice people from MediaCore. It's a great media art institution, and this is how we came up with this project. So you meet some people by coincidence, and then I'm very quick to kind of create ideas of how can I collaborate. And in this way I collaborated with multiple artists all over the world in very different disciplines. I did performances with the laser visual guys, or like with the visual artists, or with the sound artists, also with the improvising musicians. Maybe it's the destiny of an artist that whoever you meet, you want to do a project with, I don't know. But in a way it happened in Moldova. First I met Yuri Pyatkova, and we kind of had the same vibe, and we started just brainstorming, what can we do? And then I thought, oh, my brother could actually create visuals out of what you are drawing, right? And then it happened this way. Then we found a MediaCore, then we found musician. And usually it's like me, basically, an interface which kind of connects everyone. But then in the process, it's actually very exciting because I managed to create an atmosphere of kind of valuing everyone so that everyone can bring ideas in. And this is super cool when people feel it. And then they start, bubbling with ideas, and then it's like this and that, and this and that, and then we discuss together. And at the end, the product is much more that I could ever create myself. Because it's a sum, it's a synergy of many people, and this is very beautiful. Surprisingly, the most poetic works are the works created with the most simple instruments. And basically, if you ask me, I love to create works with just filming and projection. And no fancy sensors or motion tracking and AR. Because it just lets you experience your own creativity. And during this interaction with the visuals, create this beautiful poetry in the moment. But also what fascinates me as well is, of course, using AI. And I saw some theater pieces where the actor was in real time transformed using AI, and it was projected on the screen. And this is kind of a new form of theater. You know, when an actor can change his shape, can change his appearance. This is kind of inspiring. How can we do a revolution in the theater in the perception of the actors? It's not anymore this classical perception, but we have to get used to that. An actor has a different shape and different faces every single second. This is kind of exciting. I have quite a unique approach in my workshops because I established applying the improvisational approach to the media work. I believe that you can create multimedia encounters with the physical performance together through this intuitive feeling, through the feeling of flow. That means that I'm not thinking in advance what I'm gonna film now, how I'm gonna film the dancer. I rely on my feeling of what will be right now in the moment. I'm with him, I establish the connection, and then I get into this interaction and see what comes out. This requires very much trust. And this is what is very unusual for people, you know, especially film people, because they're used to work like I have my storyboard, I have my, you know, frames, I know how to film, and then I tell them, no, forget it, just go and move with the person and see like what comes out. But this requires trust. This very much differs to the majority of the projects where you have a filming guy or an artist, a visual artist, and you have a performer. These are separate worlds, yeah? With me, it's never the separate worlds. There is a connection and there is an interaction through the whole process. And this is how my art is born. I think this is the essential thing, yeah. The point is that nowadays, no artist is creating everything by himself. Like, this is your artistic way, basically, that you get into interaction, you go to workshops, you go to classes, and you learn and you teach, you learn and you teach. My material is, of course, inspired by different people, by different projects, by different workshops, but it went through my practice. I adopted it, and I created my own approach. So this is how it's made. But of course I cannot tell you, it's completely my creation and I just came up with it like an, I don't know, who, Socrates or whoever. No, of course, this is accumulated knowledge over my life and years, but I worked very much to put it in a kind of holistic concept to work with this. To be decisive and to be present. Yeah, this is very important. The performance echoes of fragility, it kind of is a continuation of my interest to the topic of fragility of the human psyche and of the human body in the changing times. There is a war between Russia and Ukraine which touched me personally very much, and somehow I found it very difficult to coexist with this. I even dropped my artistic work for over 1.5 years because I couldn't. I was blocked because it shocked me so much. The main concept of the performance is to look into this fragility. How do we cope with the forces that we cannot change, with these outstanding forces which intend to break us in pieces? How can we collect us out of the pieces again? And how these traumas are being projected in different dimensions. Yeah, there are these projections, there is the screen, there are these graphics, there is this live camera which films me. In this way, I wanted to talk a little bit about how these traumas and these damages which are in us, they can project to different aspects, to different dimensions. And maybe sometimes you think you are healed, but then they come over again. I can find power in this fragility and use it for creating a new Masha. And I already managed a lot. And this artistic work here in Moldova is one of those steps. So I'm very thankful for that. Actually, I have no criteria for a spectator. Actually, I'm very happy to have all different spectators I can ever get. And you know, here in Moldova, that was very funny that in the performance there was even a grandma with, you know, with a scarf, with a traditional scarf, and with the really grandma clothing. And that I was so happy to have her there, you know, not only all these young media people, but a grandma. It's amazing. It's great when there are many different people of any kind and I can share my art with them. It makes me happy. My advice is simple: fear nothing. Don't be scared of nothing, go and try. This is the only way how you can create stuff. Go and try, just put your hands on it. Even if you don't have fancy equipment, things can be done easily. And actually in my workshops I teach how you can do it with very, very simple instruments. But hands-on and do the work, because to do the work, any kind, even if it's not so good, even if you're not satisfied, is still much better than not doing anything.